All right, good evening, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is 6 p.m. This is the time and place set for the July 9, 2025 hearing of the City of Pasco Land Use Hearings Examiner. My name is Jay Eystone. I've been appointed as a pro tem hearings examiner for the City of Pasco. Pro tem means basically substitute when the regular hearings examiner is unavailable. That's the case today. I have been appointed to render decisions in certain land use issues as authorized by the Pasco Municipal Code. My name is Jay Eystone, by the way. The hearings examiner holds public hearings to receive evidence on the merits of proposals on various land use issues, including conditional use permits, variances, appeals of administrative decisions, and other matters as provided by the Pasco Municipal Code. I consider the evidence presented in the hearing and other written evidence on file to formulate a decision. For rezones, zone determinations, and planned unit developments, I make recommended decisions to be considered by the Pasco City Council. For plats, special permits, variances, and other kinds of permits, I make final decisions. Although the public hearing process is governed by certain rules, I do strive to conduct these hearings in a somewhat relaxed and informal manner. The procedure you can expect to see for each item on today's agenda is going to be as follows. First, city staff are going to present their report and recommendations to the particular application. Then the applicant or their agent or representative will be given an opportunity to speak. The applicant has the burden of proof to show compliance with applicable laws and regulations of their project, proposed project. Third, those in the audience in favor of the proposal will be given an opportunity to speak. Those in the audience opposed to the proposal will next be given an opportunity to speak. And then finally, I may allow some limited opportunity for rebuttal testimony from the applicant. I'll decide that on a case-by-case basis. So I think we have 5 items on the agenda tonight. You're going to hear that process repeated 5 times as we work our way through. If you're just here for one petition, then once your petition has been, I guess, concluded for the evening, you're free to take off. Please keep a few things in mind if you're going to be testifying during the public hearing. First, when you step forward to the microphone at the podium there, we'll have you state your name and address so that we can keep a record of who's testifying and how to send you a copy of the decision if you wish to receive one. Then when presenting your testimony or your evidence, please do so as clearly and succinctly as possible. Please keep your testimony relevant to the application. Try not to wander into other issues that are beyond the scope of the proposal. Try not to duplicate information that has already been presented. That may be a big one. I know that there's at least one item on this evening's agenda that's generated quite a bit of public interest. Some written comments were submitted ahead of time, which some of them seemed quite similar to each other. So pay attention as other people are testifying, and if you come forward and want to be heard and somebody else has said more or less what you wanted to say before you, feel free to just say that you are here to second or to echo everything that so-and-so said. If there is something that you want to add that's unique to your perspective, then by all means, tell me what you want to tell me. We don't want to leave anyone feeling like they didn't have an opportunity to be heard. And then finally, written evidence is always encouraged. So, from time to time, I might consider a request to leave the evidentiary record open at the conclusion of today's in-person hearing for opportunity for you to submit additional written comments. But another thing is sometimes I see witnesses who have written their comments out in advance. so that they make sure to get everything that they want to say onto the record. If you've written down what you want to say, feel free to come up and read it into the microphone, but you'd also be free to offer your written statement as a written exhibit into the record as well. So I'd be happy to receive those. All right. Okay, I just said I may keep the public record open following the hearing to allow time to submit additional written comments. Whenever the public or the evidentiary record is closed, whether that's at the end of the hearing this evening or after a later date to allow time for additional written comments, my decisions will generally be rendered within 10 working days of the close of the public record hearing. If a particular application has drawn an unusual amount of public comment or, a particularly voluminous amount of testimony, then I may consult the applicant about extending that 10-day decision period. So just be forewarned that that 10 days might be extended in a given case. I think most of you have noticed an attendance roster that's close to the entrance over there. Please be sure to sign in to help us, one, keep a record of the hearing, and two, you can indicate if there's a particular application this evening that you are interested in, and you can indicate if you wish to be mailed a copy of the decision when it has been rendered. As a courtesy to other participants, please turn off all audible communications equipment, such as cell phones and pagers. I'm putting my cell phone on Do Not Disturb mode right now. Except as provided by the Pasco Municipal Code relating to requests for reconsideration, the decision of the Land Use Hearings Examiner is final and conclusive unless appealed by means of a land use petition to the Franklin County Superior Court within 21 days of the issuance of my decision. Now, that's the general rule. On this evening's agenda, we actually have a majority of the items are exceptions to that rule. I want to let everybody know that for the zoning determinations and zone change, there is a different appeal process because, again, I don't make a final decision on those. I only make a recommendation to be considered by the City Council. You can receive a copy of the Hearings Examiner's recommended decision just like others would receive a final decision. And there is an appeal process described in the Pasco City Code for the applicant. Within an applicant can appeal the hearings examiner's recommendations to the council by, within 10 calendar days from the date of the hearings examiner action, file a written appeal with the city planner stating the basis of the appeal from the hearing examiner recommendation. For property owners, that would be nearby property owners. Within 10 calendar days from the date of the hearings examiner action, file a written appeal with the city planner stating the basis of appeal from the hearing examiner recommendation and bearing the signature of at least 20% of the owners of record of property within 300 feet of the property proposed for reclassification. Either method of appeal shall include payment of an appeal fee in the amount described in Title III of the Pasco Municipal Code. And a proper and timely filed appeal shall be presented to the City Council in conjunction with the hearing examiner recommendation and shall require the City Council to conduct a closed record hearing, notice of which shall be given in accordance with Pasco Municipal Code 25210040 to consider the appeal. Another little comment about that. Even though I am making recommendations on those issues for the City Council to make a final decision, what it means when it says that an appeal can trigger a closed record hearing is that you won't have an opportunity necessarily to stand in front of the City Council and add to your testimony. Even if an appeal is granted, and so make sure to provide the testimony that you want to provide about these proposals tonight. Don't assume that you can save it for later to share with the city council or something like that. Because the city council is going to be relying on the record that's generated at this hearing to make their final decision. Okay. One last, I guess, introductory comment here is that I have reviewed the items on today's agenda, and I do not have any interest in any of the properties or proposals being heard today. Outside of the staff report is attachments and public comments that were submitted. I have not received any communication regarding any matter being heard today. So I will be able to hear and consider all matters on today's agenda in a fair and objective manner. That said, I want to give you an opportunity. If there is anyone in attendance who objects to my participation as hearings examiner in the hearing of any of the items on today's agenda, please step forward. Let us know the basis for your objection. All right, seeing nobody come forward, I will go ahead and get started with the items on this evening's agenda. So, it looks like the first of those is SP 2025-009, application for Soriano's Daycare Center. Do we have, first, before we turn to staff, do we have an agent of the applicant or the applicant themselves here this evening for that one? All right, thank you. Just had to ask, because earlier today in another city I was doing a hearing where we got started without realizing the applicant hadn't shown up for their own hearing. So since you're here, you can take a seat, and I'll turn it over to our planning department staff for presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. My name is Ivan Barragon, Planner 2 with the City of Pasco. I am presenting on special permit application SP 2025-009, submitted by Maria Soriano Prieto for the conversion of an existing single-family dwelling into a daycare center. The proposal is located at 611 North Cedar Avenue, parcel number 113-760-090, legally described as Lot 5, Broadway Place, Phase 1 in Pasco, Washington. The property is zoned R1A, Low Density Residential Alternate District. Next slide, please. The property is 0.18 acres in size. Next slide, please. The applicant is proposing the conversion of an existing single-family residence into a licensed daycare facility. The proposed use will serve school-aged children, specifically during before and after school hours. Upon completion, the residence will be fully repurposed for non-residential use and will operate exclusively as a daycare center. The facility will be designed to accommodate up to 15 school-aged children with staffing provided by one employee. As part of the site improvements, the applicant also intends to expand the existing driveway to better support the operational needs of the facility. Next slide, please. Notice of the public hearing was mailed to properties within 300 feet of the proposal on June 19, 2025. A second notice of the public hearing was mailed to properties within 300 feet of the proposal on June 27, 2025, after it was discovered that the vicinity map included in the original notice to neighboring properties was incorrect. Notice for public hearing was published in the Tri-City Herald on June 22, 2025. Pursuant to Pasco Municipal Code PMC 25.50.040, number 5, daycare centers and preschool centers are permitted in the zoning district subject to approval of a special permit. Per PMC 25.185.170, off-street parking for daycare centers is calculated at a rate of 1 space per employee and 1 space per 6 children. Based on the proposed staffing and enrollment, 4 off-street parking spaces are required. The applicant proposes to construct 4 off-street parking spaces within the front yard area to meet this requirement. Pursuant to PMC 12.04.100, number 1, letter C, no single driveway shall be wider than 34 feet or 50% of the lot frontage, whichever is smaller. At 62.7 feet lot frontage, the maximum driveway width where it meets right-of-way is 31.35 feet. The applicant is proposing a 36-foot wide driveway exceeding the maximum allowed. This would need to be reduced where it meets right-of-way to 31.35 feet and angled to meet PMC 12.04.100, number 1, letter C. Pursuant to PMC 25.15.270, yard front means an open and unoccupied space extending the full width of the lot between any building and the street right-of-way the building is addressed from. The front yard shall be determined by measuring perpendicular from the street right-of-way to the closest point of the building. Under PMC 25.185.030, number 4, vehicle parking in front yards is limited to the area formed by parallel lines extending from the outer dimensions of a garage, carport, or parking slab. An additional area of up to 10 feet by 20 feet between the nearest side property line and the driveway may be used for extra parking. The proposal does not align with PMC 25.185.030, number 4. More specifically, the additional area of up to 10 feet by 20 feet between the nearest side property line and the driveway may be used for extra parking. In addition, the PMC previously required driveways to lead into a garage or carport, which effectively limited driveway placement. This provision was eliminated with the adoption of Ordinance 4700 AA in December 2023. However, the outdated reference in PMC 25.185.030, number 4, remains, contributing to confusion regarding driveway boundary standards. While the PMC does not clearly specify whether driveway requirements for this proposal should follow residential or commercial standards, it is important to acknowledge the limited guidance available for accommodating daycare centers within residential neighborhoods. Given that the only exterior physical modification proposed for the site is a driveway adjustment, staff finds it reasonable to highlight the forthcoming changes under Engrossed Substitute Senate Bill 5184. This legislation, which is set to take effect soon and is anticipated to be incorporated into the PMC, will prohibit cities from requiring off-street parking for daycare centers as outlined in Section 2, Number 3, Letter E of the bill. The City of Pasco is serving as the lead agency for this project with respect to environmental review. The City has determined this proposal to be exempt under Washington Administrative Code, WAC 197.11.800. Next slide, please. All that said, staff cannot conclusively determine whether the submitted findings and conclusion provide sufficient grounds to approve the proposed change of use at 611 North Cedar Avenue. Ultimately, the final decision rests with the hearing examiner. Should approval be granted, either as submitted or with modification, staff recommends incorporating the outlined conditions of approval to ensure compliance with standards and mitigate impacts on the surrounding neighborhood. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bargon. I don't think I have any questions for you. Pretty sure I followed your presentation. We'll go ahead and turn to the applicant. Who's here to speak on behalf of the applicant? Excuse me. Go ahead and come forward, ma'am. We have a podium over here.
Hello, my name is Maria Soriano. My address 611 North Cedar Avenue in Pasco.
Okay, just a second. 611 North Cedar was your address? Okay, we got that in here. All right, would you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you, ma'am, swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes.
All right, thanks. While you're up there, you can just leave that mic activated. So I have a couple of questions for you, and then I'll give you an opportunity to, say what you think I need to hear. But first, have you had an opportunity to review the written staff report from the City of Pasco and the exhibits that they attached to it? Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay, thanks. And the staff report makes it has a large section discussing findings of fact, which presents factual representations about your property and the project that you're proposing to, or the use that you're proposing to apply there. Is there anything, well, I guess the question is, do you agree with the factual representations that the city staff have made in that report?
Yes.
All right. Is there anything that, just to make sure if you generally agree with it, was there anything that you want to clarify or that you might disagree with in some way in those factual representations?
I just read they say it's gonna be like 40% more traffic in the area for the center, but I think it's gonna be almost the same because I already have the home daycare and I take care of 12 kids, so it's only like 3 kids a difference. That's all.
Okay. And I understood from Mr. Barragan's presentation that basically there will have to be some interpretation of the code and statewide legislation and maybe potential legislation as it relates to your off-street parking requirements, the width of your driveway. Is there anything that you want to tell me about your plans as to parking for the facility or the placement of the driveway or anything like that?
We just try to make the space for the parking, like 4 parkings in the front yard, and there's gonna be a space for live garden.
Okay. And let's see. And how about the proposed conditions of approval that the city has included in their staff report? Did you get a chance to review those? It's on pages 6 and 7 of the staff report. Approval conditions. Did you get a chance to see those?
No.
You're not sure? Okay. It's
Not
in the
sure.
same report, so I think just to, I really want to make sure that you have an opportunity to comment on these. It's not too long. I'm going to go ahead and read them into the record, so just listen carefully, and I'm going to ask you if you heard anything that you don't think you would be able to comply with or that you think is an unreasonable requirement to impose on your business. So proposed condition number 1 was that a special permit shall apply to 611 North Cedar Avenue, including subsequent legal subdivisions thereof. 2, and basically that's what you're applying for today. 2, the project shall be constructed and operated in substantial conformance with the site plan submitted with the special permit application as included in the July 2025 Hearing Examiner packet. I trust that that's the site plan that you submitted. 3, in addition to condition number 2, the proposed driveway shall be reduced to 31 feet and 31.35 feet where it meets the right-of-way, in other words, the road. 4, the operator shall maintain all required licenses and approvals from the DCYF and shall comply with all applicable state and local health, building, and safety regulations. 5, the maximum number of children enrolled at the daycare center shall not exceed 15, and the maximum number of employees shall not exceed 1 as approved by DCYF and the fire marshal.
Yes.
Okay. On 6, on-site parking and drop-off pickup shall occur only within the designated driveway area. Staggered pickup and drop-off times are encouraged to reduce traffic impacts. No queuing is permitted in the public right-of-way. 7, prior to occupancy, any required modifications to the driveway shall be reviewed and approved by the city through a building and right-of-way permit. And 8, outdoor playtime shall be limited to designated fenced areas and scheduled to mitigate disruption to adjacent properties. 9, the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits for interior modifications, including installation of a fire sprinkler system, if required by the fire marshal or applicable building code. 10, the special permit is valid only for a daycare center use as described in the application and supporting materials. Any expansion in enrollment or change in use shall require additional review and approval. And 11, the special permit shall expire if the daycare center use is discontinued for more than 12 consecutive months. So at the conclusion of the staff report, the city has not made a definitive recommendation about whether this should be approved or not, but they say if it is approved, that they're recommending those conditions of approval. So out of those, did you hear anything that you thought was unreasonable or that you want to, that you have concerns about?
Yes. Yes, I agree and everything.
Sorry, what was that?
No, excuse me. What did you say?
Was there? I'll ask you another way. Do you agree with those conditions if
Yes.
they were imposed? Okay.
Yes.
Do you believe that you'd be able to comply with them?
Sorry, I can't hear.
Do you believe that you would be able to comply with those conditions if they were required?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then, thanks for putting up with my grilling of you there. Is there anything else that you would like to tell me about your application?
I just so exciting to open the center because I have the home daycare, but I'm gonna move. So, and I already have like 6 kids go to school. If I move in, they have to look for somebody else. In the area, it's a lot of providers that don't give transportation to the school for the kids. And that's why I think that's a good idea, put the center only for after and before school program.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to receive the staff report and the exhibits attached to it into the official evidentiary record for this hearing. Do you have any objection to me doing that?
No.
All right. Then those things are received, and that gives substantial factual information about the project. I don't have anything else to ask you. Is there any final thing that you'd like to add?
No, that's it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. You can have a seat.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to turn to members of the public in attendance. Is there anybody here who has attended to speak in favor of the Soriano Daycare Center application? All right, would you like to come forward, ma'am?
Hello, my name is Cynthia Soriano. I'm the daughter of Maria Soriano. She also is the provider for my son, who is 2 years old. But she's been doing this for quite some time, so I know she's, like she said, she's very excited to move to her new home.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yes.
What's your address, ma'am?
Right now I'm living with my grandma, so it's 420 East Broadway in Pasco. It's about 3 blocks from this home address.
East Broadway. Okay, and would you raise your right hand for me?
Yes.
All right, do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes.
All right. Now, if you want to start again from the top, what would you like me to know about this application?
She has been doing this, since I was about 5 years old. She's been in daycare facilities. She worked at New Horizon Daycare for quite some time and then became a daycare assistant for my grandma before she opened her own at-home daycare, which is at 611 North Cedar. And now, like I said, she's moving to her new home, which she's excited to do her at-home daycare there. But like she mentioned, over in her current home, it would jeopardize a lot of the kids that go there now. They wouldn't have that transportation, which I know parents rely on very heavily, myself included. I'm not off until 6 p.m. typically, and I know that that's true for most parents. They're not able to pick up their kids, unfortunately, so this would give them that peace of mind that they don't have to start over with a stranger. They can just stay with who they've known for years now and their kids are comfortable with. So I do think that they would, not just those kids, but maybe new coming kids would really, really heavily benefit from this, as well as their parents.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take your testimony into
Perfect.
consideration. Is there anything else that you want to add?
That is it.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Thanks. You can have a seat. Okay, is there anybody who has come tonight to speak in opposition to the Soriano Daycare application? All right, seeing nobody, I don't see a reason for any rebuttal testimony from the applicant. We will go ahead and close the evidentiary record for SP 2025-009 and I guess adjourn the hearing on that application for this evening. If that's the application that you've come for tonight, then that will be the end of our discussion of it, and you're free to take off, but you're free to stick around if you want to hear the other petitions this evening. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to the second one. This is ZD 2025-001, Desert Bloom LLC application relating to a zoning determination. So, do we have all I need is a hand. Do we have an agent of the applicant here this evening? All right, great. We're going to go ahead with the staff presentation then.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Again, for the record, my name is Ivan Barragon, Planner 2 with the City of Pasco. I am presenting on zoning determination application ZD 2025-001, submitted by Desert Bloom LLC for the zoning determination recommendation to City Council, also as part of annexation record ANX 2025-001. The proposal is located south of Burns, east of Shoreline Road, and west of Road 122. The site specifically includes the property legally described as Short Plat 2022-32, Lot 1, identified as parcel number 126-160-173 in Pasco, Washington. The subject property is currently zoned RT under Franklin County jurisdiction and is designated as medium-density residential in the City of Pasco's comprehensive plan. Within the Broadmoor Overlay District, both land use and zoning are guided by overlay-specific standards. Pursuant to PMC 25.97.040, medium-density residential land use within the Broadmoor Overlay allows for R2, R3, or R4 zoning. It's important to note that density within this area is determined by the Broadmoor Overlay District, not the base zoning. Furthermore, density requirements are established by the Broadmoor Overlay District, which allows for a range of 6 to 29 dwelling units per acre, as outlined in PMC 25.97.055. The applicant is requesting an R4 zoning designation consistent with the permitted zoning and density range under the Broadmoor Overlay. The properties to the north remain unannexed but are within the urban growth area, UGA, and designated as low-density residential in the city's comprehensive plan. These parcels are primarily developed with single-family homes on half-acre lots. To the east, properties were annexed in 1998 through ordinance number 3305 and have since been developed with single-family residential housing. These areas also carry a low-density residential designation in the comprehensive plan. To the south, parcel 126.160.174 remains unannexed and is currently used for agricultural. However, further south are annexed properties developed with the concrete batch plant. These southern properties are designated mixed residential and commercial and medium density residential in the comprehensive plan. To the west, parcel 126.160.129 is being annexed in conjunction with the subject property and is proposed to be zoned R3, medium density residential, consistent with its comprehensive plan designation. This parcel is currently in agricultural use. Farther west, other unannexed properties are designated as mixed residential commercial and support a mix of agricultural and single-family residential uses. Additionally, a parcel located southwest of the proposed annexation area is designated for open space/parks. Next slide, please. The subject area is approximately 18.6 acres in size. Next slide, please. The property owners have initiated the annexation process into the City of Pasco, which includes a zoning determination. The intent of this request is to facilitate the expansion of residential opportunities within the city's urban growth area. Next slide, please. Resolution to accept notice of intent to commence annexation proceedings, providing a determination on the boundary to be annexed, whether simultaneous zoning and the assumption of bonded indebtedness will be required, was passed on June 2nd, 2025. Pursuant to PMC 25.220.020, letter B, public notice for this hearing was published in the Tri-City Herald on June 22nd and July 2nd, 2025, in compliance with this requirement. Pursuant to PMC 25.220.020, letter C, public notice was mailed on June 19, 2025, to property owners in the annexation area, Franklin County, and all property owners within 300 feet of the proposed annexation. Pursuant to PMC 25.220.020, letter D, the hearing examiner zoning determination recommendation must be forwarded to City Council at or near the time Council holds a public hearing on the 60% annexation petition. Following the adoption of an ordinance annexing the property into the city, the Council is required to adopt a separate ordinance to establish zoning for the annexed area. The proposed R4 zoning, as mentioned before, is consistent with the comprehensive plan and aligns with the designated land use for the subject area. The City of Pasco is serving as lead agency for this project with respect to environmental review. The City has determined this proposal to be exempt under Washington Administrative Code, WAC 197.11.800, number 6, letter C, numbers 1, 2, and 3. With that, staff recommends designating R4 high-density residential zoning to the Desert Bloom LLC portion of the annexation area, which comprises approximately 18.6 acres, parcel 126.160.173, legally described as Short Plat 2022-32, Lot 1, as recorded in the records of Franklin County, Washington. Next slide, please. Before I turn it over to you, Mr. Examiner, I'd like to briefly display the Broadmoor vision and master plan, which illustrates the anticipated roadway network and highlights multiple points of connection to the subject area. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bargon. One thing that I just want to ask you to talk a little bit about, and, partly for my benefit, partly for those that are in attendance. If this, zoning determination was approved, and then the property was zoned for medium or even high density residential, would it be true that before any development or construction took place that we could anticipate that there would be basically a plat application for subdividing that property to build homes on it? Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. And then the plat application would itself require a hearings examiner meeting with notice to adjacent property owners and an additional opportunity to comment and speak and things like that?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I don't think I have any questions for you. I appreciate your presentation and your report here. So we'll turn to the agent for the applicant. Who do we have here this evening? You want to come forward to the microphone, sir? Okay, what's your name?
Cody Fielding.
Cody. Let's see. All right. And are you an authorized agent of Desert Bloom LLC, the applicant here?
Yes, I am.
All right. What's your relationship with Desert Bloom LLC exactly?
I'm a manager and an owner.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you just want to use the address in the application for Desert Bloom, 6119 Burden Boulevard, Suite C, Pasco, Washington?
Sure, that works.
Okay. All right. Would you like to raise your right hand for me, sir?
Mm-hmm.
Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. Okay, so, sir, did you have an opportunity to review the staff report in writing prior to this evening's hearing?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and as to the factual representations laid out in that staff report, do you agree?
Yes.
All right, do you have any comments, anything that you want to clarify or object to within those factual representations?
In the factual representations, no.
Okay. Then, let's see, would you like to adopt the factual recommendations in the staff report as your own factual assertions about the property and its project?
Yes.
All right. And then how about the conditions, well, let's see.
I don't believe there are conditions.
I don't believe they are recommending conditions. That's right. Okay. So at this time, I guess I'll provisionally accept or receive the staff report and its attached exhibits into the hearing record, and just do that for now. And then I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Fielding. Is there anything else that you want to tell me about your application?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
So on behalf of the development team and the ownership team, I'd like to thank the city staff for their report and state that we are in full support of the city staff's conclusions based on findings of fact. I'd also like to mention two important items related to the property and our zoning petition, and I hope this is helpful for some of the people here today who are a bit anxious about our zoning to R4, including some of our friends who live outside of the city jurisdiction. First, this property currently has a land use, some of this is repetitive, but I think it's important, if that's all right. This property currently has a land use designation of medium density residential. This land use designation was adopted during the 2018 comprehensive plan update and requires 6 to 29 dwelling units per acre, no more and no less. This density is required regardless of whether the property is zoned R2, R3, or R4, which are the allowed zonings for this particular land use. Again, to reemphasize, this requirement of 6 to 20 units per acre is already in place and has been in place for several years. Our zoning petition will have zero effect on this density requirement. Second, the required density of 6 to 29 units per acre allows for a broad spectrum of housing, including single-family detached residential homes, townhomes, duplexes, and all the way up to multi-story apartment buildings. Our plan is to develop the property into single-family lots used for detached housing, with the intention of being on the very low end of the density spectrum, specifically somewhere between 7 to 8 units per acre. The reason that we petition for the R4 zoning is because it provides the greatest level of flexibility when creating single-family detached lots. Again, I hope this information is helpful, and we feel that our proposed development is honestly kind of a best-case scenario, perhaps for those who are concerned about high density, as another developer could have purchased the property with the intention of building high-density apartment buildings on site, which is not our intention. And we look forward to providing much-needed housing for the current and future residents of Pasco. Thank you.
All right. I appreciate your testimony. I don't think I have any follow-up questions to that. So, yeah, I'll let you go ahead and have a seat.
Great.
Unless there's anything you want to add. Okay, now let's turn to anyone in the audience who has appeared to testify in support of application ZD 2025-001. Do we have anybody in that category? I see somebody there.
Neither for or against.
Neither for or against. Well, I'm not sure how to categorize you, sir, but I guess if you think you have something relevant.
Mine's a procedural concern. If I could bring it forward, please.
If it's a concern, then it might be sort of in the against category.
If that's where you'd like me to speak, that's fine.
Just give me a second. Is there anybody, just to double check, anybody who is definitely in the support category? All right, seeing nobody, then we will go ahead and turn to those opposed, or maybe those who just want to voice a concern that, you know, I guess we'll find out. So, sir, would you like to go ahead and tell me well, let's have you swear to tell the truth first. Will you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes.
All right, and your name, sir?
My name is Wes McCart. I'm the Franklin County Building and Planning Director, and it's 502 Boeing Street.
Would you spell your last name for me?
MCCART.
Okay, and your address one more time?
502 Boeing.
Boeing?
Yes.
Like the airplanes?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and your title again?
I'm the Franklin County Planning and Building Director.
Franklin Co. Director. Okay. What would you like to tell me, sir?
So I have conferred with both a commissioner, the treasurer, and the assessor before I made these comments. Basically making on behalf of the county as a whole. We are concerned the fact that this hearing is taking place for a rezone. That was the application. I realize the zoning designation has also been alluded to, but this hearing is taking place while this property is under the jurisdiction of the county for a zoning determination or a change, whichever category that is. Our concern is that this hearing will end, it will stay closed, and there will be no opportunity for further comment beyond when it becomes annexed, if it becomes annexed, and it's done. So our suggested way to recognize that is that you continue this hearing until such time as this property is annexed properly into city jurisdiction prior to making a recommendation. Our goal is not to hold up development or housing or anything. It's just to allow for a proper process. And I wanted to bring that forward. I did submit that in written comment. Hopefully you got it. If not, I have a copy here.
I'll just look through the digital packet here and see if I can. Well, why don't you just leave a hard copy for me? Just
Sure,
so you
no
can
problem.
Double safe. Okay.
Okay.
All right. If you want to hand that over to. Okay. Thank you. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to add? I take it you didn't. Just want to. All right. Appreciate your being here this evening, sir. I should probably mention now that it's appropriate for anybody who wants to ask for a continuance. Continuance means basically hold the record open, schedule another hearing later on. Pretty much anybody can make a request for a continuance, and the hearings examiner can consider that. I'm going to take Mr. McCart's request for a continuance under advisement right now. Basically, that means I'm not going to decide on the spot how I feel about that request. Mostly because this sounds like an issue of maybe a conflict between the municipal code and the county's position about how the municipal code would be applied. I don't want to speak out of turn and make that decision prematurely. So just wanted to make a record about that. Let's go on with those who are in attendance to speak in opposition to the proposal. All right, it looks like, why don't we, can I have a show of hands of get a rough idea of how many people we have in this category? All right, we have a whole bunch of you. So let's go from kind of the front of the room and we'll just sort of work our way back in a snake. So that first row, can I see your hands one more time? All right, then we'll start on my left, your right, and whoever was, there we go. Go ahead and come forward, sir. All right, would you raise your right hand for me? All right, do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes.
All right, and what is your name, sir?
Sid Bauman.
Bauman, is that B-A-U-M-A-N?
Yep.
Okay. And your first name again?
Sid, S-I-D.
Okay. Sid. Your address, sir?
It's 12429 Jaylene Way.
Did you submit a written comment prior to this evening's hearing? Okay.
Yeah, we just found out about this.
Okay. All right. Then what would you like me to know, sir?
Well, I guess I was here on behalf of I was concerned with we're going to have more apartments down here, which, I'm definitely against. It sounds like that's not the intent. But I guess I'd still be against designating this as high resident, like the R4, because it sounds like that still leaves that open as an opportunity to do that. Should the developers change their mind. So.
Okay. And to give some sort of focus to our comments this evening, I'm going to just go ahead and put on the record basically what the primary issues are for the hearings examiner to consider, and then I'm going to ask you if you want to add anything to your testimony based on those. So first, I'm to consider whether the proposal is in accord with the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan. I'm to consider whether the effect of the proposal on the immediate vicinity will be materially detrimental, whether there is merit and value in the proposal for the community as a whole, whether conditions should be approved in order to mitigate any significant adverse impacts from the proposal, and finally, whether a concomitant agreement should be entered into between the city and the petitioner, and if so, the terms and conditions of such agreement, and basically that's a land use covenant. So with those things in mind, is there anything in terms of facts that you want to testify to? And we sort of sometimes have to draw a line somewhere between an argument and just like factual information. Do you have any other factual information that you wanted to share about?
Right. So,
like
if we were
things?
putting apartments in here, I definitely would have concerns about what we're going to do with the road there. I've had family who's experienced an accident, like in Road 68. Pasco allows parking with apartments along the road there, and we had that we have the new apartments up on the hill there. We have the same exact situation where people are pulling out with traffic blocking the road. So that's more my concerns with just the road design there. And note that this road, the Burns Road, is the principal arterial, and then we got the new roads going in, which looks like they're going to be considerably bigger, or not the major arterial there, but yet it doesn't look like Burns Road has any plans to be expanded for additional capacity.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
And then if we were to put apartments in here, we already have enough apartments, and I'm concerned about home values, because statistically that will lower your home value, and of course it depends on how the apartments are done, obviously, but it statistically increases crime in the area. So those are my concerns from an apartment perspective. So it sounds like that's not the intent. So I'm just against rezoning here, or zoning that allows apartments to be built here.
Okay, I want everybody to feel free to comment on the zoning that's proposed, and not be too concerned about the stated intent. Feel free to share a comment about the zoning, regardless of stated plans for the property. And let's see, is there anything else you wanted to add, sir?
Nope, that's it. Thanks.
All right, thank you. You can go ahead and have a seat. Let's see. All right, let's go down the row and the next person.
Hello.
All right, what's your name, ma'am?
My name is Mary Bauman, B-A-U-M-A-N.
All right, would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes.
All right, and your address, ma'am?
Is 12429 Jayleen Way, Jayleen Way in Pasco.
Okay. Ma'am, are you in relation to Mr. Sid Bauman?
Yep, same household.
Okay, and just want to make sure that we're using our time wisely this evening. So do you have something additional that you want to testify to, or do you want to just reinforce and back up what Mr. Bauman just testified to?
So I would say to reinforce that. I also think it's kind of, I guess my concern again is the fact that they're zoning this that has the opportunity for apartments. I know I have some friends that live in Kennewick that has apartments right next to them, and it has drastically impacted their backyard, and that's up on Hildebrand. So that would be very concerning to me, and I think it would totally change our neighborhood. So definitely the higher capacity there is a bad thing for our neighborhood. It affects our property values, it affects our crime, it affects our resale. Nobody's going to want to buy houses that are that close to that. So there's definitely higher capacity housing areas in Pasco that would be a much better choice. And it sounds like this isn't even in Pasco at this point. So, and I would also like to hold open the record open for other people's comment, because I didn't even hear about this until last night at 6 o'clock in the evening, and just on a random chance. So I have no idea how this even got out to the public, but definitely I would like to have more time to research it, and I probably feel a lot of people in this room are the same way.
Just to be clear, you're telling me that you might have more comment yourself or more testimony to provide if you had an opportunity for additional research about...
Exactly, because I have no idea. I mean, I am not an expert in this, and so going from R1 to R4, medium density, what the Broadmoor overlay is, what happened in 2018, all of that stuff, in my opinion, needs to be researched by me in order for me to have a good understanding moving forward. And the fact that this wasn't publicized very well, I think it needs to be held open.
Okay. All right, I'm going to take that under consideration. Do you have anything else
That's it.
right now? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
You can go ahead and have a seat. Let's continue down the line. All right, yes, and yep, go ahead.
My name's Tracy Heidelberg,
Could you spell your last name for me?
Heidelberg.
All right, would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
I do.
And your address, ma'am?
12612 Ricky Road in Pasco.
Okay. All right, what would you like to tell me?
Is it possible to change this slide to one that shows Kohler?
If we've got, I don't know, do we have a slide?
I think you showed it before that shows Kohler.
I think it'd be appropriate. All these slides are in the record, I think. So we want to.
It kind of makes a difference to what I'm.
A witness wants
talking
to.
about.
Would you like me to move to a different slide?
Yeah, let's do that.
So, okay. So if you see where Kohler comes down, it's that blue line. I stepped away. Right here.
Okay.
Can you see it? That intersection is very, very dangerous right now. The developers on the opposite side of Burns Road put that stone wall very close to the road. And so when you pull out, and I'm not 300 feet within the designated area, I'm further north down the road, but that's the only egress to get out of Kohler, is down Kohler Road and turn either right or left onto Burns Road right now. And it's very hard to see around that corner. So if you designate this as high density, which gives the opportunity to, on a almost 19-acre lot, to have almost 600 units, to have almost 1,200 people, which with 1,200 cars extra coming down that street right there and trying to get out onto Burns, onto an already dangerous intersection, I have an issue with that from a safety concern. It won't be, it'll be a while before all the other roads are developed, and that's the only way in and out of Kohler. Again, I'm not within 300 feet, but when I make that turn onto Burns, I am within 300 feet, and it's very dangerous. There aren't any sidewalks. There aren't any sidewalks going down Kohler. I'm concerned with the infrastructure of the road on Burns. If you look at it, and I could be wrong, you guys are the experts here, but all the changes that have happened on the south side of Burns, it appears that the road has been repaved. But when you go to the county side of the road, it hasn't been repaved. It's still the same size, and it's a very, very dangerous road, especially as the Bauman said, with the apartments that are now on top of the hill, there's a lot more traffic. So do you guys have any plans? Perhaps you can speak to that when you come up for rebuttal on changes to the road that you will propose to make, because that's very concerning, as well as the next proposal on the docket here is to the medium density just to the west, that they're going to be putting in even more homes, that is going to make the congestion even worse. So I hope you take that into consideration. About the safety concerns of the existing residents as well as the potential new residents that are coming in.
All right.
Well done.
I'll consider your testimony, and thank you for being here this evening. We can continue down the line. I'm sure you can figure out who's next. All right, go ahead and come forward, ma'am. Your name?
Piper Barton.
B-A-R-T-O-N?
Uh-huh.
All right. Would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes.
And what's your address?
12004 Norfolk Drive in Pasco.
What was the street?
Norfolk, Norfolk.
All right. What would you like to tell me?
So I live in Solstice, which is right next door to to where the proposed high density is. Mm-hmm. And number one, I did not receive any notice. I am within the boundaries, whatever. Anyway, but I did not receive any notice either of tonight's meeting until somebody told me about 3 o'clock. I got nothing in the mail. And so and I think a lot of us thought that the high density was going to be in apartments, and which I guess with the R4 zoning it still could. But just as I'm a real estate broker, I've had my real estate license since 1990, so for over 35 years, and I know that anything that is rezoned like this will affect the property values of the homes around there. So that would be my biggest complaint, would be taking when I've been in my house for about 3 or 4 years now, and then I checked out that vacant land, and also I've sold homes in our subdivision in Solstice, and I've called into the city of Pasco, and I wish I had my notes of who I talked to, but many, many times I was told that that land was in the comprehensive plan as medium density, and that's what people who bought in there, were banking on and believing. So I just don't think it seems real responsible for the city of Pasco to change the zoning to high density and affect people's property values, because it will. If apartments went in there from a broker real estate point of view, if apartments actually went in there, I think it would affect anybody's value from minimum of $60,000 up to $150,000 if we wanted to sell. So.
Okay. All right, I appreciate your comments. We'll keep going down the line. Okay. Before we get started, I'm going to finish up my notes about the last witness. All right, your name, ma'am?
Robin Dillsworth.
Okay. Robin, would you spell your last name for me?
D as in David, ILLSWORTH.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. What's your address, ma'am?
6204 Road 122, Pasco, Washington.
Okay. What would you like me to know about this proposal?
Well, just for reference, while we have this particular slide up, I'll show you where I live.
I'm going to have you pointed out on that side.
1, 2, 3.
And then if you would come around to this other screen that's facing me, and if you'd point it out. There's another screen here. You can't even see it. Here. Walk around towards. Here we go. Yeah, you and I are looking at different machines here. All right. That's much easier for me to see. Okay, thank you. I'll let you go back to the podium there. Okay.
So the first thing I would like to say is I obviously live within 300 feet. I'm right next door, and I did not get notice. I heard about it when Mary told my husband at a meeting last night, and he sent me the email that he got from her, and I'd already gone to bed because I work at Hanford and I get up at 4. And so he woke me up when he came back from the meeting telling me. And so that's very short notice, and I don't understand why I didn't find out. And I mean, really, how many people watch or listen or read the Tri-City Herald these days? That is not a way to... Anybody? Okay, one. Just to bring a point across, that is not a way to communicate in this day and age. So that's a point I just wanted to make, that we haven't had time to get our facts together, like Mary had said. And my husband came by today and delivered a letter from us, and so it's probably in your record from the Dillsworths.
Do you have a hard copy of it there?
Well, I wrote all over it because
because
I've been adding things as I've thought of them throughout this thing. But I think he gave a hard copy this afternoon, about 4 o'clock.
All right, and I did.
But I can read it, and I can give you what I've got.
Well, I don't want anybody to be denied their opportunity to submit a comment. Let me see if I can find it in here, because I did receive some comments that were pretty close to our hearing time this evening. I'll ask Mr. Barragan, do you know if you received a copy of the letter from the Dillsworths?
To be honest, I do not remember I received so many.
Okay.
He came by and the office was locked, and he called me and said, I can't get into the office. And so he called a phone number, and somebody came out the front door and got the letter from him.
Okay.
I can go ahead and read.
Why don't you just start reading while I'm looking for this?
Okay. Now, I made the assumption also that it would be a high-rise apartment complex. If it's a single story, that would be a lot better, obviously. So keep that in mind as I read this. My husband Dave and I are against this zoning recommendation and the building of this apartment complex. In fact, we have spoken to numerous residents in the area since hearing this proposal today. We've been on the phone and on Facebook and everywhere, and no one seems to be in favor of it. In fact, there's a petition going around that as of the last time I looked, when my husband signed it, there was 599 signatures against. We live in the polished subdivision of Solstice, and our property adjoins the proposed apartment complex. The back of our house, which is all windows, will face this complex. And, you know, if it's a high-rise, which it still could become if he should change his mind, we'd have many strangers over many years looking down into our backyard and into our home. Yes, we could grow trees, but it would be years before they could give relief from this situation. Right now there is a tree line there, but I'm sure that that's going to go away, which would be helpful if he kept the tree line or put another tree line in. If it gets rezoned that way, it might be something to consider, because there's a whole row of houses that would be in the same situation with me. Also, now let's put the aesthetics aside and talk about the financial aspect. I'm a certified public accountant and very well understand the financial implications of this proposal. We understand that Pasco is in a fiscal bind through a lot of circumstances that have been outside the city's control. The city is probably thinking that there is a lot of tax revenue to be gained by building this complex here. However, consider the fact that this complex can and will be built somewhere in our city, I'm sure. It does not have to be here. You will still get the benefit of the taxes from it if it's put someplace else. And it will, however, diminish the future value of many expensive homes that are here at the bottom of Burns Hill. And this would obviously decrease the future taxes gained by Pasco from these homes, which would be a considerable amount, since many of these homes are even more valuable than ours, which right now is valued at $750,000, which you put this in, and if it were to be a high-rise, will go down, like Piper said. And new homeowners will then become underwater at their mortgage loans once the values drop. And that would be a bad thing with this economy and with the banks. We just moved into our home last summer, just last year, and we were under the impression that it was Zone 4 and whatever that's called. You know, it was going to be single-family homes. Would not have bought it if I knew differently. And so now resale, that will be the same issue. It will be hard now for me to sell my home if I decide now to leave to find some place that is not next to an apartment complex. We also wanted to come to a place that was low in crime. My son's a police officer. Many of the police officers are friends of ours. And he told me that that was a great place to move to because it had low crime. And now that the three apartment complexes have moved in, the crime has jumped. He told me, yes, there's a lot of crime now in that area. They get calls, and it's on theft. A lot of theft in our area now. That wasn't there a year ago. We just moved here last summer. I considered West Richland and Richland because we were looking to buy into an area with low crime and high future home values. Because we're close to retirement, so that's what we were looking for. It was going to be an investment. And so you are totally undercutting the investment value of these houses here. And we wanted to stay in Pasco. They don't have a whole lot of areas in Pasco that have that criteria. There are many in Richland and West Richland, but we wanted to stay in Pasco. Why? Because we lived 22 years down on Road 40 by the river with the same idea, had planned to retire there, but crime encroached and values have gone down. So we sold there last year and was glad that we did because a lot of crime has hit the place there with drug deals and that kind of thing. But we thought, oh, good. We're now relieved of that situation with the new location, but that's declining. We love Pasco. We raised our children here. My husband pastors a church here. We've invested much of our time, energy, and resources into this community. We really wanted to stay in this city because of the connection. So that's why we chose Solstice Subdivision, because it was low crime and it was high home values. And I think that will change drastically, especially if it were to be changed to Zone 4 and go up to high-rise apartments. You know, you got the idea of strangers moving in next door that have no pride of ownership. If it were condominiums, it would be a different situation because they would have pride of ownership. But you've got the transient lifestyle of apartment dwellers, and that just will not be the case. And that's why it drives home values down. So traffic is already, like we've already heard, a horrible situation. I'm hoping that with Sandifer opening up, it's going to be right at the edge of my street. And if the apartment complex did go in, I would love to see most of the traffic diverted to Sandifer, not to Burns. That would be a huge relief. So that would be a consideration I would ask for. And so that's all I have. I hope and pray that you had an open mind as you listen to my dissent.
All right, I do have a follow-up question for you. And when I ask you this, this goes for everybody here. If I ask you a follow-up question, it's not because I'm trying to argue with you, but I'm trying to give you an opportunity. I'm trying to ask questions that'll give you an opportunity to make your statement in the best way possible or in the most complete way possible. And so I want to respond in question to your comment that if we're going to develop new housing, it could be developed somewhere else. It doesn't have to be developed here. My question is, since one of the questions at issue is whether this proposal would have a materially detrimental impact on the immediate vicinity, if we compare your vicinity to somebody else's vicinity on the other side of town, is there any reason that you can tell me that it would have a greater negative impact on your neighborhood?
No, I can see that it would work.
Compared to a negative impact that it would have on somebody else's neighborhood if it was built on another side of town?
Nope, I could see it going into another place, especially with the idea that so many places now want to eliminate suburbs, and they want to come into in-town living, put it downtown. I mean, you put that one downtown where the river is, and that was a great idea. And I think it improved the values of the properties around it. So I think that there are spots all along downtown around the river that still need to be thought about and engaged upon putting the properties there, because that needs to be developed, like what Richland has done. I think is a wonderful idea. I would love to see that happen.
Okay, so to be clear, when you're talking about concerns about increasing crime rate and an existing traffic problem and things like that, basically your position is that other locations are not going to have the same negative impacts that you're concerned about because the current character of those neighborhoods is maybe better suited to.
And people like it quiet and peaceful, and they're not city dwellers as a rule. That whole neighborhood area. So, and to hear the people talking about, even when the apartments went up at the top of the hill, it's like, oh, that's terrible. At least they're up there, But this is coming down to where it's been. Somebody said earlier, put some cows back there. I thought that was kind of funny, but it's our mindset, to be honest. It's our mindset. We like the country feel. And we already have 3 apartment complexes. And, I don't want to be argumentative either, but 4 seems to be excessive. And especially on one street that's very narrow, and hopefully that will be fixed, but it won't be fixed soon enough.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, so I want to just point out that I'm starting to notice a pattern. A lot of folks are concerned about traffic impacts and basically testifying that there is a already present traffic burden on Burns Road. Folks are also testifying about having a concern about increased crime. Folks are also testifying about diminishing property values. And so if you're going to come forward to testify, I would really urge you to be as quick as you can in stating that you agree with other folks who have testified about those issues already, and only provide other testimony if you have something that truly adds to what we've heard. Again, feel free to just come up in a row and say, I agree with what the others have said. Thanks for hearing us out this evening. I'll go have a seat. But I don't want to have to start cutting folks off, telling you, we've already heard this, please go sit down. So if you can sort of keep that in mind to plan your comments as we work our way back. I saw the hand there. I'm sorry, we're not going to go backwards in the order, at least not this evening. So with that, we'll go on to the next person who's getting ready to stand up.
Tamara Ochoa, 12412 Blackfoot Drive. I am within the 300-foot notification area. This will be directly in my backyard.
Can I pause you right there? Would you raise your right hand for me, ma'am?
I will.
Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
I do, yes.
All right, thank you. And your address for me one more time?
12412 Blackfoot Drive.
12.
And also Jerry Wubin also resides there.
Okay. And you said you're within 300 feet of the
Yes.
subject property, and did you receive a notice of this evening's hearing?
I did.
Okay, thank you. Oh, great. Go on. What did you want to tell me?
So my backyard with my swimming pool and my grandchildren all will be, it's right there in my backyard. Lack of privacy is a big concern for us. I'm going to support the traffic issue. I'm going to support the fact that this is still county property. It is not city property to be rezoned at this point. I think we would all know that at some point this will be developed. We're not ignorant to that point. Single-family dwellings would be acceptable, and my question, as the developers have presented, that this will be single-family homes, why do we need to move it from an R3 to an R4? So, that being said, that would be my major concern, that we're going to be putting in apartments there long before we'll ever just have single-family homes, and 6 to 8 homes per acre would be probably 4,000 square foot dwellings, which I think they allow 2 units per 4,000 square foot lots, which are very tiny homes. So even if they are single-family homes, I think it will be the tiny home version of that, which I'm understanding only has to have a 5-foot span between homes. And that's very concerning to have even tiny homes there. Even more concerning would be to have apartments there, looking down in our backyard. But I will validate the property values dropping, the culture of our agricultural developed neighborhood changing. And I'm very concerned about why it needs to go to a 4 if it's going to be single-family housing.
Ma'am, before you sit down, I just wanted to double check your name. Did you say Ochoa? O-C-H-O-A? Okay, got it.
Mr. Examiner, is it helpful if I clarify that point in case it's helpful to the rest of people who want to comment?
Yeah, we'll save that until we've heard from everybody.
I think I mentioned it earlier, but
Because, yeah, I have some questions for clarification.
I appreciate that, but okay. So all right. Would you go ahead and raise your right hand?
Okay, Diana Burns. My address is 7827 Byers Road in Pasco.
All right, I got Burns. What was your first name?
Diana. D-I-A-N-A.
D-I. Oh, gotcha. A-N-A. And your address?
7827 Byers Road, Pasco.
Okay. All right. And would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
I do.
All right. What would you like to tell me?
Well, I think I have some clarification from Cody on, I believe you said this was land use residential as of 2018, so it's already 6 to 29 units. So why, like Tammy said, why would it need to be rezoned? The other is, Cody spoke to the need for housing. You know, they want to fulfill a need. Well, what is the need in Pasco? You know, how many housing units are being built or permitted to be built? What's the projected, you know, growth? You know, I'd like to see those before. I think people need more time to get some answers before some of the anything moves forward, because yes, there are a lot of apartments up higher on Burns, but it has always been those single family 1/2 acre on the lower portion. I support everything about the quality of life that people were saying, because people bought and paid for that land to be out more rural. And I would ask that the city and the developers just respect that and keep the developments down there at the one single family per 1/2 acre.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, we can keep snaking our way through the room. Yeah, go ahead and come forward. And, you know, just to clarify sort of procedure here, it's really not a question and answer. I appreciate anybody who wants to, you know, express a concern, and sometimes a concern comes in the form of a question. I am going to give Mr. Fielding an opportunity for some rebuttal testimony when we've heard from everybody who opposes the project. Mr. Fielding's primary audience is going to be me, and his primary concerns are going to be the issues that are laid out in the Pasco Municipal Code. The things that folks are talking about, you know, have some relevance to those issues, but it's going to be up to Mr. Fielding to decide how he wants to present his case to convince the hearings examiner that his project conforms to the code. And so, you know, we'll just stay tuned for that. Ma'am, would you like to raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yeah.
All right, and what is your name?
Amanda Wilson.
Okay. Ms. Wilson, conveniently I was looking through the comments and saw that you had provided a written comment. So if you want to just tell me that you adopt under oath the written comment that you provided, that would be fine. Is there anything that you want to tell me beyond the written comment?
Yes.
All right, go ahead. Actually, did I get your address yet?
12114 Blackfoot.
12114 Blackfoot. All right, what would you like to tell me?
And the one thing that I really wanted to highlight, I'm also the principal of Columbia River Elementary School. And I just wanted to highlight that our local schools are already at or near capacity, and the development at a zone 4 would really strain resources. The fact that I'd like to put up is just that apartment residents don't directly pay property taxes, and therefore they do not contribute to levies and bonds, but will increase the needs for funding for resources and additional facilities.
All right. I'm caught up. Was there anything else that you wanted to tell
Nope,
me?
just wanted to say that I also agreed with what was previously said, which is also in my letter.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Who's next? Go ahead and come forward. Would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
I do.
All right. Thank you. You can lower your hand. What's your name, ma'am?
Mary O'Day.
Mary O apostrophe Day.
Yep.
All right. Your address?
12702 Whiskey River Road.
All right. What would you like me to know?
I would like you to know that we ditto, my husband and I, everything that was said. It was very well done. You guys, considering we're laymen, we're very short notice. We were caught back-footed until last night. I'd also like to say thank you to Corinne for doing the written format and to Marshall for doing, for doing the digital. Very well done. We are a community that we are here together and we hold strong. I will say that I'm very concerned that we're going from a zoning of an R2 to an R4 for a higher density, but yet you're going to do single-family homes. Seems like a bait and switch. I'm a little concerned. So, and that's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. What's your name, sir?
My name is Tony Bachart. It's B-A-C-H-A-R-T.
B-A-C-H-A-R-T?
Yes, sir.
All right. Would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
I do.
What's your address?
7013 Kohler Road.
All right. What do you have to add to the testimony?
I'd like to speak to the comprehensive plan requirements and the statement of facts by staff.
Okay.
Okay. So I'd first like to say that the comprehensive plan states that land use policies must be coordinated with transportation investments and utility investments as well. And then going to the first findings of fact, the proposal in accordance with the goals and policy of the comprehensive plan. Staff maintains sufficient land designation to accommodate residential uses approximate to appropriate transportation. So to cut it short, I'm going to speak about traffic real quick, but I wanted to give some facts and some findings based on what the comprehensive plan requires. It talks about a future north-south collector road being built. It doesn't say when that would happen to mitigate the traffic. And then if we could go, I believe, 2 slides forward.
Let's go ahead and move forward.
Oh, maybe 3. To the so right here. So if you look at this slide right here, it talks about how Burns is a principal arterial road. Just for classification, Road 68 and Road 100 are principal arterial roads, and we can all agree that Burns Road is nowhere near that developed. Second on that one, the county did us no favors here. As far back as 2015 and 2016, when they were starting to develop all the properties north of Burns Road, the findings of facts from the county planning state that the Burns and Shoreline Road are both below the minimum standards current for the amount of traffic, and then they went ahead and developed 1,000 more homes north of that road and never once fixed that road. So I understand that generally when you develop in the city, you are required to develop your half of the road. So that's why we have the south side of Burns being fixed up as the city develops it. That north side is under no obligation to ever be repaired by the county. So you will have an improved road on one side, but unless everybody goes to their apartment and stays there, then they're going to be driving on the other side of that road as well. And then just to give an idea as well, and I understand that we're talking about having single-family homes here, but the R4 classification does allow for a higher density. And if you go off of the city's requirements of an R4, they do limit that to 21 dwelling units per acre, not 29, it's 21 in R4. And if you go with the traffic impact analysis that was not done, there's no mention of that ever in any of the staff findings. The Institute of Transportation Engineers, using their numbers for a high-density home, the amount of acreage that is being developed, that puts the estimated number of trips to be added to Burns at 5,000 vehicles a day. Okay? That road will not maintain that. So what I would like to ask is if this is going to get developed, which we all know it's going to be, that it does not go to the R4 high designation. It stays down to the medium designation, or even reduces it down to the R1 or R2 level so that it does maintain a buffer, but that Burns Road is not the access point. That the city add the condition that it has to go on to Sandifer for the main access point. And I would also like the condition to be that they do, if they say 7 to 8 housing units per acre, that be in an official condition of the city so that it doesn't get changed. Again, this could be developed, it could be rezoned, and then sold immediately to a new developer, who then would come in with the R4 designation and change it. So,
just to go back to something you said, you a second ago proposed that R2 or R, what were the two zones that you
either stick with R1 or
would be?
R2, but I don't think it's classified as R1, so R2 or R3 would probably be what I would recommend it stay as to act as that buffer zone.
All right, you're saying that R2 or R3 would basically be satisfactory from your point of view as far as...
It would be for mine, yes, but again, I also am more concerned about the traffic impact, and like I said, even with that R2 and R3 zone, I would recommend that this not get developed or platted until Sandifer gets all the way through, and Sandifer be the main thoroughfare out of there.
Okay. All right, anything else?
No, unless the city plans to fix Burns, which I don't think they will. City doesn't use their own money. So.
Yeah, again, not a question and answer session. I don't have the answer to that, so I can't tell you what their plans are, but yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, what's your name, sir?
Brad Johnson.
Would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes.
All right, you can lower your hand. What's your address, sir?
7001 Kohler Road.
All right. What would you like to add to what we've heard tonight?
To start right away with Mr. Fielding's comment, I have no reason to distrust him, but at the same time, when the dollar signs start speaking, it's real easy to change your mind from, hey, we're not planning on doing apartments, but the money's there, and so that's what we're going to do. So as Mr. Bockhart said, doing that rezoning down to R2 or R3, I think would solve a lot of the issues. And I'm not going to go through everything. I do support everything else that was said. I am very concerned about this changing the character and the feel of our neighborhood by causing a visual, whether it's houses on tiny, tiny lots or apartment complexes, it's going to clash with the single family homes on large lots that we currently have. It's going to break the cohesive estate style feel of our neighborhood. We're going to have a lot more foot traffic. We're going to have, as Mr. Bockhart said, a lot more vehicle traffic. And there's going to be an erosion of that neighborhood identity that we currently have. Our area was designed for space, for quiet, and for separation from this very dense development that, whether it's apartments or houses on very small lots, that's going to change the feel of our neighborhood. And of course, that's going to negatively impact our property values and really the perception of what does our neighborhood provide. This loss of exclusivity and cohesion will certainly reduce the people interested in our homes. And as our wonderful real estate agent said, of course, there's no way that's not going to drop the value of our homes. And a big one, too, is this is setting a precedent. You set this precedent. If this rezoning is approved, it becomes much easier for more high-density projects to follow. And so whether this one turns into apartments or doesn't, it sets a precedent for doing that for the future. And once that starts, it's not going to stop. You can widen roads, you can upgrade sewers, but you can't undo bad rezoning. And once that character of our neighborhood is gone, it's going to be gone forever. When you cross that line, the whole corridor becomes a target for developers that don't live in our area, and they just see the dollar signs. So today we've got one high-density complex of homes on tiny lots, or an apartment complex, and tomorrow it's just more rezoning to match the area of these low-quality homes that are being built there. And that, to me, is the job of this committee, is to prevent this from happening. So I would ask you to respect the intent of the city's comprehensive plan and literally the decades of those investment by us homeowners who've trusted that zoning protections actually mean something in our society these days. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay. Next person? Are we?
Good evening.
All right, good evening, sir. Would you raise your right hand for me?
Yep.
You swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, and your name?
Nathan Grimm, Grimm.
Address?
12103 Blackfoot Drive.
And your testimony?
So I would like to reiterate what the county planning director said, that it's preemptive to request a zoning change when this is not incorporated into the city. It is within the urban growth area and will be incorporated into the city, but today it is not. The current county zoning is RT. Well, for Desert Bloom is RT, and for SG Land Management it's RS20. My home's in RS20 neighborhood, and that's a half-acre lot per home. Jumping to the other side of Burns and going immediately into medium or high-density residential has a problem for a number of things. First, the Broadmoor Master Plan, and I quote, "Initial phase developments will occur on the east side near Broadmoor Boulevard. Later phases will take place farther to the west," end quote. Burns Road is a problem. It's proposed here by 2038. It's going to be a principal arterial. It's currently a county road, and there's a little bit of city road, but it doesn't have the right-of-way to become a principal arterial. The distance between the existing properties along there, I measured on a GPS map today, is about 80 feet. The principal arterial width right-of-way in the Broadmoor Master Plan says it needs to be 100 to 96 feet. So we're 20 feet short of Burns west of Broadmoor becoming a principal arterial. So I believe that the master plan, assuming that Burns it can become a principal arterial, is flawed in that now they project they want land use of medium density. The minor arterial right-of-way is 100 to 78 feet in their master plan. Like I said, the right-of-way currently is about 80 feet. It's a two-lane road. Shoreline to Dent is currently a county collector that's 2 lanes. Dent to Broadmoor is currently unclassified, but it is 2 lanes and it has that 80-foot right-of-way. There's also a topographical limitation west of Burns that you cannot expand the right-of-way due to a large hill. This is undeveloped here because it's too steep. So the right-of-way width there on Burns is the current road width.
Okay. I'm going to have you go and point to the area on that other screen that Mr. Fielding can see that you're talking about, and then just after indicating the area, would you say that into the microphone, what your comment on it was?
So at the area indicated, there is a topographical impediment to turning Burns into a principal arterial due to the hills. The constraints without significant earthwork would be that the right-of-way could only be the current road width, which is 2 lanes plus shoulders, and shoulders is being generous. One of the things in the city's transportation master plan is to widen Broadmoor to a minor arterial, which is in conflict with their Broadmoor plan of saying it's going to be a principal arterial. For those reasons, I oppose any zoning to medium density or high density. The housing development immediately to the east of this property is low density R1. I think that would maintain the character of our neighborhood. I agree with everything everyone else has said, but the facts on the right-of-ways and Burns Road being able to be a principal arterial, it's impossible.
All right.
So that's my testimony. I mean, if this is going to happen, we need to condition it on Burns Road being widened and improved to a principal arterial.
All right. Your testimony is received. Anything you want to add?
In addition to conditioned on Sandifer and Kohler being in place prior to any construction taking place, because the traffic is not good, as you've heard. Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, if the next person wants to go ahead and start walking forward.
Hello, I'm Roger Jones.
Roger
Jones.
Address, sir?
12805 Well Lettuce Place.
Valdez Place?
Well Lettuce.
Oh, sorry?
Well Lettuce. WILLETTAS Place.
All right. Would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes.
All right. What would you like to tell me?
Well, I'd just like to agree with just everything that's been said. But the infrastructure, just to say it quickly and maybe a bit, simply, is I'd rather have the fire station in place before all these things go ahead, just in case I need the fire station myself. When it comes time, I'd like to have it. That just tells you that the infrastructure is not just as been said.
Okay.
On the and also just the striping of Burns Road is just, I'm not sure what to follow. I mean, there's the simple way is maybe you could get out there and stripe it so that we really knew what was going on between county and city and 2-lane and 3-lane, and then whatever's going on in Broadmoor and Burns is whatever.
All right. I appreciate that. I don't think the striping of the road, I'm sorry to say, is related to the hearing this evening, but I was still catching up in my notes anyway, so I'll let you get that out. Unless there's something else that you want to tell me, you can go ahead and have a seat. I don't have any questions.
I'll let you catch up. Thanks.
All right. I'm ready for the next witness if you want to go ahead and step forward. All right, good evening, sir. What's your name?
Marshall Matthews.
Marshall Matthews. Would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes, indeed.
What's your address?
6512 Gallatin Road.
All right. Pasco?
Correct.
All right. What would you like to put on the record?
I'm actually going to bring up something that hasn't been brought up, and it's actually a consideration I had sitting there. As Mr. Fielding shared with us, it doesn't really matter whether it's a R2 designation or a R4 designation. They can do the same thing no matter what. And then some other, of our supporters on our side said that, what is their reasoning for wanting to change to an R4 designation? In this, with the city municipal codes, they're actually altered several times a year. And so I'm actually going to urge the city to delay any of these proceedings until those codes are more clearly defined. We need better clarification between what is an R2 and R3 and R4 so that there is less overlap. They are more clearly defined, and we can avoid these disputes in the future and settle this dispute so that just in case their project doesn't go through, they decide perhaps to sell to someone else who doesn't have the interest in this community and will build an apartment complex in our community. So that's my request. Better defined municipal codes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Trevor Peisinger. It's Pissinger.
Pissinger.
That's right.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Correct. Yes.
All right. And your address?
12515 Blackfoot Drive.
Okay. Thanks, sir. What would you like to tell me?
I just want to say that I agree with all of the arguments that have been made so far, and my issue is not with the applicant's proposed intent for the project, just that the R4 zoning wouldn't allow the apartments to be built in the future if they decided to change their minds or sell the property.
All right. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Thanks for being here. You can have a seat. Do we have anybody else? All right. What's your name, ma'am?
Jenny Rieke, Rieke.
Jenny is Jenny.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes.
And your address, ma'am?
9104 Pooler.
The Pooler?
Pooler, as in swimming pool.
Mm-hmm. All right. What would you like to tell me?
I don't have a complaint with what's happening because there's already an ocean of humanity north of Burns. It's happening. Our concern, Pete's and my concern, and save our shoreline. We're trying to protect a gem in this area. It's a river shore, right along here. Come a bit, show you.
All right.
Right here, this entire shoreline. For 80 years, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has protected this as a wildlife preserve. And if Shoreline Road becomes a 4-lane road, which it would if the Broadmoor plan goes through, the wildlife preserve will be extinct. There are no wild things that will live there because people are going to overrun it. And the Broadmoor plan actually makes it into a park, which they can't do. It's a U.S. Army Corps of Engineer property. All of the people moving into this neighborhood need to understand the value of that gem because there's more biodiversity right there than in any place in the Tri-Cities. And we're just concerned about people understanding that we're not asking people to go there. We're asking people to leave it alone. So we've been pushing and we've been meeting with the city of Pasco repeatedly about this, and we want a buffer park put in. We need a new park for all of these thousands of people who are moving in here because none of our parks will hold the capacity for visitors. So a nice long linear park across Shoreline Drive, and Shoreline Drive becomes a bicycle pedestrian path, and move that traffic east. And preserve that, because once it's gone, it's gone. So that's our concern.
Okay. You said, I just want to clarify if you're, I guess, on whose behalf you're testifying today. You mentioned another name and...
Pete, my husband.
All right. So Pete is your husband, and
yes.
Are you here with some organization that backs you up or something like that?
Save Our Shoreline.
Save Our Shoreline. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Save Our...
We're trying to preserve public access to the river because it's being sold to private entities.
All right. Is Save Our Shoreline like a local nonprofit that is devoted to that?
No, we're not a nonprofit. We're a group of concerned citizens.
Okay, understood.
Yeah. We haunt City Hall.
Okay.
We've been in a lot of meetings. Unfortunately, all the people who got excited about that plan have moved on, so we have to keep banging the drum.
All right. Well, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good evening.
All right. Good evening, ma'am. Would you tell me your name, please?
My name is Cynthia Muse.
Muse?
Muse.
Okay. M-U-S-E?
That's correct.
And what was your first name?
Cynthia.
Cynthia. All right. And you got your right hand raised. Would you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth? All right. What's your address, ma'am?
Let's see. I'm part of an estate at 10820 West Court Street, which is still in the process of being settled. And I live at 260 Ridgeview out in the country and right off Columbia River Road, and we access into Road 100 almost every day, and it is a nightmare now, and I can only imagine with farm and city traffic where we're going with this. And I want to be here to say you have our heartfelt sympathy over what's going on here, because we have PUDs out in the country that are high density rural housing developments that are walled in, going in on beautiful orchard and green farmland out in the middle of nowhere. And so we really sympathize with you losing the character of your neighborhoods, because you can imagine what it's like out in the rural block areas. I'm also here to represent SOS Group, and we've worked hard over the years to make sure that there's river access and protection for that habitat bend area along Shoreline Drive. And we have worked with every level, federal, state, local, county, Aaron knows as well, to try to make sure that developers understand that this has to be part of their plan to not allow high density population in this area, because it's going to disturb that beautiful habitat area. And we won't back down, and we're not going to ever let it go out of our sight as far as allowing all people to enjoy that as it has been for 100 years. And we'd like a linear park along Shoreline, and to leave it as the old historic highway that it was in 1900 off Sylvester, it came all the way around the river and then up into the block areas before they were blocked. So you're talking about beautiful historic areas that the Burnses and Gallants and everybody have lived for, since the turn of the century. And you just don't come in and build this R1, 2, 3, and 4 type housing in old areas like this, and to disturb the wildlife and the bend at that river as being protected now. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, your name, sir?
Darrell Sowards, DARRELL SOWARDS.
Would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes.
And what are your address, sir?
6500 Gallatin Road.
All right. What would you like to tell me?
Basically that I agree with the opposition, and I don't see their need in the rusticism to switch it to a higher density. The question of trust is where I lie. I lie right across the street from this place, and when this parcel was bought, it was a cherry orchard, and the lack of maintenance of that cherry orchard brought in a flock of seagulls that did damage all over our crapping all over the place. So that lends me to not that they really have the best intentions for that property. So a sale, I think it changes to R4, it becomes very enticing for our apartment complex to come in there, and I don't really see how they are valuing our community. So that's my comment, and I agree with all the opposition.
All right, thank you, sir. Your name, ma'am?
Hi, good evening. My name is Corinne Anderson. That's CORINNE.
All right, would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes.
Your address, ma'am?
12302 Blackfoot Drive.
Okay. What would you like to tell me?
So I would just like to strongly reiterate the opposition and a lot of the points you've heard tonight. I would also like to bring up that the environmental review process also appears to be incomplete. If this were to pass as a high-density residential area under SEPA, any increase in density from what was originally evaluated must undergo a proper public review, which has yet to happen. I would also like to reiterate against the staff finding that this proposal will materially harm our homes. I live directly behind the proposed parcel, and there are studies showing that if you have a loss of view, privacy, your property value can go down by 20 to 35%. My husband and I are first-time home owners, and a devaluation of our property like that would be completely devastating. And then finally, I would like to reiterate that the laws of public notice were not sufficiently met. You heard from a few individuals tonight who reside on Road 122, and according to the packet you received tonight, nobody on that street received the public notice for this proposal. And then one last thing, there seemed to have been a glitch in my email to Mr. Berrigan this evening. I have the physical petitions that many people in our neighborhood have signed. I would be happy to turn them in if you want physical copies. However, Mr. Berrigan does have a digital copy. I'm not sure if you were able to access that before the meeting, but I brought these anyways just in case you wanted them.
All right, I'll take the hard copies just as basically a backup. You know, it's not like they're separate exhibits, it's one exhibit basically, and
Right.
I think I have a digital copy of it, but just to make sure that they're the same thing.
Sure, sounds good. And with that, we just strongly urge you to reject the zoning proposal. Thank you.
Okay. If you want to hand that packet over here, then I'll receive that. Do you have anybody else on this application? All right. We made it through. So,
are you allowing comments from online attendees?
Can we put the Teams call on the screen? Yes, I'll take comments from online attendees. Thanks for jumping in there. If you wouldn't mind, if you can turn your, I guess I'll leave it up to you. If you have an appropriate background, turn your video on. I'm not going to require you to turn your video on. But who do we have online who would like to speak?
My name is David Todak. I live at 12442 Jaylene Way.
12442.
It's Jayleen.
All right. Would you raise your right hand for me wherever you are? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
I do.
All right. Thank you, sir. You can lower your hand. Have you been able to hear the comments provided so far?
I have. I have most of them. I submitted written comments in advance, but I believe you had another docket item for the SG land proposal.
Right. ZD 2025-002 is another item on the agenda that's coming up next. If you have a comment related to ZD 2025-001, I'll go ahead and hear that now.
All right. Basically, I'd like to echo what I've been hearing about the traffic. My personal approach to this is I moved here from Road 76, the hole there, to get away from people. My backyard was an orchard with deer going through each evening, and I understand development's going to happen. My graduate studies were in infrastructure planning and management, most particularly in kind of designing resilience and being ready for bad things to happen. And Burns Road is already largely incapable of handling an evacuation if necessary. We saw last summer that the city of Pasco is wanting to close Court Street, Road 100, and Road 68 all at the same time. And if there were a reason for people here to leave in an event like that, it's a good thing 90% of the houses here have trucks.
All right. Heard that so far. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Thanks for your participation today. Let's see if there's anybody else on our Zoom call that wants to speak against the application in ZD 2025-001. This would be the time to unmute yourself. All right. Doesn't look like anybody else is chiming in. Let's see. Mr. Fielding, let's go ahead and turn the podium back over to you for rebuttal if you would like. I'll remind you that you're still under oath, and go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I'd like to rebuttal. Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody who came tonight in all sincerity. It's nice to live in a community, in a country where we can voice our opinions. Not everybody has that privilege in this world. So, Mr. Examiner, you you stated that the burden of proof is on us to determine or to make a case for it's not a rezone, it's a zoning determination, I think is the term that is being used. Ivan's not over there. I was looking for my homeboy, Ivan.
I would agree that it's a zoning
determination, like a recommendation. So it's not an official rezone, it's a recommendation to the city council.
Correct.
Right. So as I read through the criteria, it's pretty cut and dry in the zoning, in the Pasco Municipal Code, that in section 25.97.055, section 1, it clearly states that the allowed density is no less than 6 and no more than 29. And we were actually surprised when we learned that that was true for R2, R3, and R4, because that's not true for other zoning districts outside of the Broadmoor area. So we were, frankly, like I said, surprised that that is true for R2, R3, and R4. And we didn't realize that, prior to kind of getting serious about the property. We also believe the other criteria is met as well. I'm going to kind of rifle through the comments, which were great. Hopefully this is helpful to people. I'll try to be succinct. In terms of roads and safety, we're very happy to work with the city. Our understanding is that the Broadmoor area has already had a traffic study done for the greater area, and there's a traffic fee that's going to be levied on each development as they're built out, and we're very happy to pay into that fee. We're expecting it. We think it's the right thing to do, obviously, and so happy to do that. I'm not a traffic engineer, and I don't want to conjecture whether the current road system is good or bad. I am aware of bigger cities that have, probably more traffic than here, and so, but again, I don't want to get too deep into it, but that's what I'll say about that. We do sympathize with the concern about reduction in home values. I don't want to offend anybody, but I think when I moved into I'm in a cookie cutter neighborhood, if you will, and I love the neighborhood. The adjacent folks probably felt like, oh man, you guys are developing these cookie cutter houses next to ours, and ours are 1 acre lots and stuff like that. And, so I kind of moved into that neighborhood, but I'm grateful for that because now I have a place where I'm raising my children and friends and neighbors and all those things. And at some point there has to be some sort of a transition from one style of neighborhood to another. And we do believe it's dramatic to go from half-acre lots. There's half-acre lots to the north, and then there's 1+ acre lots to the north of that. So there's already sort of a natural transition happening. And we think it's dramatic to go from half-acre to 3-story apartments right across the street, which is why we're trying to be sensitive to that and stay within the low boundary of what the city is allowing on this property, and to keep it a single-family residential. Detached. Again, R4 does not affect the density. In this instance, again, it's R2, R3, R4 is the same requirement of 6 to 29 units per acre. If you're pretty interested in looking in that, speaking to the audience, you can look at the Broadmoor Overlay District within the Pasco Municipal Code. I'd like to oppose the continuation of the public hearing because I think this is a zoning determination, not a rezone, as I mentioned earlier, and the property has to go to the City Council for zoning. I think it has to have a zone proposal to be presented to the City Council. And as such, I'm not sure that there's the need for a continuation of the public hearing because it's not a formal rezone of the property, rather it's a recommendation for a rezone. Why R4? So in the code, there's a specific section that states a single family detached lot can go down to 2,000 square feet per lot in the R4 zoning, which is really helpful, as opposed to, say, 3,000 square feet or 4,000 square feet, R2, R3, and R2. And it's very helpful to have the flexibility when laying out a site in order to achieve at least 6 units per acre. It's actually surprisingly hard to make all of the, in an R2, it's very hard to make, to meet 6 units per acre. And so, from my perspective, there could be potentially an opportunity there to amend the code at some point to perhaps entirely remove R2 or just change it so that it's easier to hit this requirement of 6 units per acre in an R2 zone. But R3 and R4, it can be done successfully. R4 is a little more straightforward in terms of cut and dry, black and white. This is exactly how you can get there in the code, which is why we decided to go with an R4. Any home in the city of Pasco can have an ADU, is my understanding, which effectively allows 2 units per lot. And so our proposal, again, is single-family detached. Could a homeowner hypothetically build something, like an ADU? I suppose they could. I don't have any input in terms of whether they should or shouldn't, but that's what the code allows. Our opinion is that the land use, as currently drawn up, is very clear, actually, and it defines. It's well laid out in terms of understanding what we can and cannot do on the property, and we feel like we fall within the boundaries of what we've proposed. And the structure in this is helpful because for people who'd like to invest in the community and develop properties, etc., and provide housing, it's nice to have a level of confidence and really kind of lean on what has been approved and is currently in the city code. Otherwise, it's a little bit tenuous and it increases the risk dramatically in terms of how much you can pay for land, whether you want to develop, ultimately what's going to be approved, what's not going to be approved. And so we feel like we're well within the bounds of the city code and we're grateful for that. The land use designations were defined by the city of Pasco to accommodate future growth and within a confined urban growth area. So in the state of Washington, there's what is called the Growth Management Act, which literally defines the geographical area the municipalities, counties, and cities have to define, and they have to have all of their growth within that area. And it's finite by definition. And the cities have to forecast future growth, and they have to accommodate for that future growth within that geographical area. And that's why medium density residential or higher density or low, whatever it is. And so I sympathize with the city to have to get to that point of accommodating all future growth in a bustling city that's growing. And I'm just throwing that out there as to the reason why this property is medium density residential. The cherry orchard is not on our property. That's on the property to the east, to the west. And that's all I have. Do you have any questions for me?
Just I think as two matters of procedure. I think at this time I'm not going to continue the hearing for an additional, live testimony hearing on this. That's in reference to the continuance request that was raised by. Let's see, we had Mr. McCart and another commenter in opposition made the same request, basically to give other folks in the area more opportunity to research the issues here and have more informed testimony about them. What I will do is I'm going to propose that we keep the hearing record open for another week for additional written comments. Mr. Fielding, have you received copies of the community comments that have been submitted so far? Are those coming to you?
No, sir.
Do you feel like you need additional time to prepare any kind of written response, or can we just leave the record open for additional public comments and incorporate those into the record as they trickle in? I think you would probably need to have an opportunity. So if we give public comments another week, compile those and give you an opportunity to review them, how much time would you need to give a response to those?
1 calendar day. I should say 1 business day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then I think that's probably what we'll do. We'll keep the record open until Friday, July 18th, and I'm going to ask that public community comments be submitted no later than the end of business on Wednesday, July 16th. We'll compile the public comments and provide them to Mr. Fielding for his review and response by July 18, at which point the record will fully close at 5 p.m. on July 18. Does that sound okay, Mr. Fielding?
Yeah, can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
So I'm going to be provided with the comments. Is our response, if there is one, going to be, is that published, or how is that communicated to the folks?
Well, it'll be received as an exhibit that'll be referenced by the final decision. I think anybody who receives the final decision is going to get a list of the exhibits. All those exhibits are public record, and they can demand copies of the exhibits if they want them.
Okay.
But we're not, there's not going to be an ongoing period of, further back and forth beyond that.
And then after the record is closed on Friday, July 18th, is that when there's like a 10-day window where the determination is made?
Yes, and I think at this time I'm going to tentatively say that I'm going to do my best to honor the 10-day window, 10 working days starting from July 18th. And we'll reach out to you if it looks like there's going to be a need to consult you about an extension of that window. I'm going to try to avoid having to do that, but it's kind of hard to say at this point based on just the number of comments that we've received. So,
sounds good.
All right.
How did you come up with the 10 days or the 1 week? I mean, you're talking to him. What about us? I mean, he's polished. He's the businessman. We're the laymen's. Can we have more time than that? I mean, why
yeah.
Are that down?
I appreciate your question there, and basically what that's going to come down to is that the Pasco Municipal Code does allow for the hearings examiner to hold the public record open for some amount of time after the public hearing, allows for the hearings examiner to basically just dictate other rules of procedure as long as they're not totally in conflict with the ordinary rules of procedure. And so to be transparent with everybody, there's some arbitrariness in this, in that I'm just trying to give an opportunity for additional comments, having in mind the public comments that we received so far that requested an extension of the period for public comments. I want to honor that, and at the same time have some sort of parameters on this process, just so that there will be a definiteness to when we get this all concluded. And another thing about that is that, again, if anybody's dissatisfied with the process, there is an appeal procedure that I explained at the beginning of the hearing. I'm seeing additional hands come up. All right, I'll take 2 more questions and then we're going to move on. So in the back of the room there.
I just want to inquire about the procedural error, and that this is not in the city, so zoning designation is inappropriate at this time.
I'm not going to comment on that, but I'm going to take that under advisement. Basically, that means I'm going to consider it over the next, that gives me a few weeks before my decision is due on that. And so that is something that'll be, should be addressed, I think, in the decision rather than me, firing from the hip on that issue today.
Do you understand my concern in the building?
Yeah. I mean,
Mr. Examiner, if I may, and I apologize to interrupt, but if people are going to speak, we need to have them at the microphone so we can capture for the record and for minutes purposes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe for what I'll do is just repeat the question into my microphone here, since this is sort of, yeah, ma'am, in the second row there.
Could you clarify the R2, R3, R4? Mr. Felding is saying that basically it's all exactly the same. We could put apartment buildings on R2. So why do we need to have R4? I mean, if it's the same density for R2, R3, and R4, can you clarify
All right.
that for us?
Yeah, I've been asked to clarify the definitions of the R2, R3, and R4 zones. Since I am not rendering a decision from the bench this evening, I'm not really going to answer that question, but I would point you to the Pasco Municipal Code that is published online, and anybody can look that up and review the definitions of the zones within the code published online. All right, so we're going to go ahead and conclude the hearing this evening on ZD 2025-001. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. It's been a long hearing. A lot of you waited a long time to have your opportunity to speak, and so I commend you for doing that. Mr. Fielding, thanks for sticking around to hear those comments and respond to them at the end.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Let's go ahead to ZD 2025-002. This is an application submitted for a zoning determination by SG Land Management. We have a representative for SG Land Management here tonight? Do we? All right. Let me see who we would be expecting. If you're on, it wouldn't be on Zoom, would it? It looks like the applicant was Trey Tutt.
Mr. Examiner, the applicant was not able to make it this evening.
Okay.
So we would, staff would submit to the examiner as to how to handle that situation, whether it'd be okay to move forward with the application if necessary or to reschedule. We would leave that up to you.
Did the applicant send something in writing explaining why they're not here?
No, we during the meeting we actually reached out and said, hey, you need to be here, and they're apparently not available to do so. They did receive notice of public hearing, so I'm not sure of an explanation, to be honest.
Let's see, that's almost, well, they do carry the burden, and I think, well, that's tough. It's tough without having any explanation as to why they're not here.
I can only assume, and I don't want to speak for anybody out of line, but I just assume it's just a miscommunication or something along those lines.
Okay. Do we have any folks here that were planning to speak on ZD 2025-002? This is another zoning determination.
Any comments in opposition?
Yeah, absolutely. Except we didn't get notification of this.
All right. I'm going to continue the hearing, and I think that's not going to thrill a whole lot of people. But what if we continue this to just like the next regular set? What would the date for that be?
August 13th.
August 13th at 6 p.m.
Yes.
Okay.
I've already reached out to
them. It sounds like an attempt to get them here this evening was made. But I don't, if somebody's like at the hospital with their child or something like that without knowing what's going on, I don't want to disadvantage them. Let me. All right. We're going to continue ZD 2025-002 to August 13th at 6 p.m. That will be the public hearing for the petition. And I'm going to encourage the city to to review their notices for that, just since we've heard comments this evening about folks not receiving notice. If the city is satisfied that they've notified property owners within 300 feet, or, I guess I should just say satisfied their notification of the public requirements for tonight's hearing, then I'm not going to require an additional notice for the August 13th 6 p.m. hearing under the conclusion that if folks attended this evening expecting to comment on that hearing, then they've been notified by this oral ruling on that. But again, the city might be wise to just look at their mailing list, and if it is determined that neighbors should have received notices for this application and did not receive notices for the July 9 hearing, then like the city to send additional notices to those folks for the August 13th hearing. And I think that is that on 2020 ZD 2025-002. If that was what you're here to speak to tonight, you can head out. Please consider, if you haven't already doing this, preparing written comments, because if you provide a detailed written comment before August 13th, then you might not need to sit through another 3-hour hearing waiting for your turn to speak. Just suggesting that to those that are in attendance. Thank you. So next item on tonight's agenda is SP 2025-008. The Goodwill Retail Service Building application for a special use permit. Do we have somebody on behalf of Goodwill?
Yes, sir.
All right, then you can have a seat. We're going to hear from staff first. If you want to move forward, actually, that'd be fine since some space has opened up. All right, Mr. Bargon.
Oh.
Sorry. Oh. Yeah, let's turn it over to city staff. Whoever's going to comment on this one.
All right. My name's Aaron Gunnarsson. I'm the planner 2 over the city, and I'm here to kind of present SP 2025-008, the Goodwill Thrift Store. Next slide. So, the Goodwill Industries of Columbia wishes to kind of construct a thrift store and employment / service support services center along with potential future offices. The property is addressed at 7511 Wiggly Drive, and the size of the parcel is approximately 4.96 acres and is zoned C1 retail business. Application was submitted to our office on April 14th, 2025. Application was then deemed complete on June 12th, 2025. Notice of the public hearing is posted to the City of Pasco website, sent to public agencies, published in Tri-City Herald, and mailed to properties within 300 feet of the proposed site on June 20th, 2025. Public hearing for the staff report was published on July 2nd, 2025. Next slide. So approximately 41,960 square feet of the site will be occupied by the retail store and employment / support services center. Connected to the retail store is a loading dock with approximately 4 loading bays. Rest of the site consists of parking, landscaping. The proposed off-street parking requirements. Parking meets the general retail and office building requirements as provided an off-street parking table in PMC 2025.185.170. And then I think in the future there's kind of on the southeastern edge there's supposedly potential offices that are going to be constructed. That'll be consist of about 10,500 square feet. Site was added to the City of Pasco as part of annexation completed in 1981. Zoning for the property was designated C1D Light Designated Shopping Center as part of the annexation. And then in 1995, zoning was changed to the current zoning designation of C1 Retail Business. In 2020, a special permit was filed for the Goodwill Thrift Store warehousing donation site, along with a SEPA checklist, and the special permit was approved by the hearing examiner on June 1st, 2020. However, one of the conditions in the original special permit required building permits to be obtained within 1 year of the special permit approval, or the special permit will be null and void. Building permits were not filed within the year timeframe, hence the permit expired. In January 25, a building permit was submitted and then was flagged by us due to the expired special permit, and then a new special permit application was then submitted to our office. As part of the review process, staff deemed the approved mitigated determination on significance back in 2020 was still applicable due to the minimal changes between what was submitted in 2020 and this application. And then the mitigations that were required in MD&S also have been since met. There's the traffic impact analysis and the inadvertent discovery protocol. So those are all been met. And then the main part, and that's the reason why it's even a special permit in the first place, is in PMC 25.165.1701. Thrift shops may operate upon issuance of a special permit within the C1 retail business district. And additionally, there's a part about which we'll get to probably in a little bit. All business activities of thrift store shops in the C1 retail business district shall be conducted entirely within enclosed structure. Next slide. So, in the findings of fact, the first finding, proposal is in accordance with the goals, policies, objectives, maps, and/or narrative text comprehensive plan. The economic development goal meets economic development goal 1, which is the maintaining economic development as an important ongoing city initiative. Constructing both retail, thrift store, and employment/support services center will work to support development and expansion of business opportunities. And then also, there's the economic development goal 2, kind of assures, that's to assure appropriate location design of commercial industrial facilities. The proposed site of the retail store, or thrift store, and employment/support services center is located approximately 0.12 miles from Road 68, which is a minor arterial road. That same road is also serviced by Ben Franklin transit routes as well. The proposal will not adversely affect public infrastructure. TIA was completed as part of the requirements for the project, with traffic impact fees having been assessed. Road 76 will be developed by the applicant to city standards as specified in Public Works' construction design standards, and the proposal will generate little demand for public utilities such as water and sewer. The proposal will be constructed, maintained, and operated to be in harmony with the existing and intended character of the general vicinity. The proposed commercial use is similar to the properties surrounding the site to the north, south, and east. And the building design will be required to meet Pasco Municipal Code, including the I-182 corridor overlay requirements. And the location height of proposed structures and the site design will not discourage the development of permitted uses on property in the general facility or impair the value thereof. The C1 zoning district allows for building heights up to 35 feet. The maximum height of the structure is just below 35 feet. The site design is not anticipated to have a negative effect on surrounding properties. Another fine fact of the operations in conjunction with the proposal will not be more objectionable to nearby properties by reason of noise, fumes, vibrations, dust, traffic, or flashing lights than would be the operation of any permitted use for the district. The operations of the retail thrift store, employment/support services center will not likely be more objectionable to nearby properties. And then finally, the proposal will not endanger the public health, safety if located and developed were proposed, or in any way become a nuisance to the permitted uses permitted in the district. Proposal is required to adhere to PMC provisions, including provisions such as outdoor lighting and noise ordinances. Additionally, use will be subject to periodic reviews for compliance with conditions as posed under special permit, PMC, and code violation history, at which point special permit for use may be revoked. Next slide. So, as part of some of the conditions here, so special permit shall apply to the specific parcel, which is 116.150.071, and any subsequent subdivisions thereof. Site plan shall be developed in substantial conformity to the site plan and building plan submitted. And then the ADA ramp crossing the drive out Wrigley Drive shall meet current City of Pasco /ADA requirements. If the receiving ramp on the east side does not match, it shall be retrofitted as part of the project. The ADA ramp at the corner of Road 76 and Wrigley must be retrofitted to meet current City of Pasco /ADA requirements. And then also Road 76 shall be developed to city standards by applicant as specified in Public Works' construction design standards. And then there's the separated sidewalk consistent with surrounding development will be acquired on Road 76. And then there'll be signage, and that goes back to the part about the enclosed structures. So signage warning against after-hours deposits shall be posted on main building donation area. And that project need to comply with the standards contained in PMC 25.175, site and building design standards, and the PMC 25.130, I-182 corridor overlay district. And then also be no outside storage of equipment materials shall be allowed outside of the enclosed / screened areas. And then finally, the applicant shall adhere to all federal, state, and city building, fire, and safety code standards. In conclusion, staff recommends approval of the special permit located at 7511 Wiggly Drive, parcel number 116150071, as a Goodwill Retail Thrift Store and Employment Support Services Center with conditions as herein proposed.
All right, thank you. Let's go ahead and hear from the applicant tonight. Would you tell me your name, sir?
Jeff Madison, Maddison. It's the non-presidential spelling.
All right. Was it two D's?
Two D's. Non-presidential.
Yeah. All right. And would you raise your right hand for me, sir? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right. And your address?
My home address, I guess, is 24512.
Well, I guess the real question is, where would you get mail that relates to this hearing?
815 North Kellogg Street, Suite A, Kennewick, Washington, 99336.
What was the zip?
99336.
All right, thank you. All right, and are you an authorized agent of the applicant, which is, I guess, Archibald and Company Architects?
Yes, sir, for Goodwill Industries of the Columbia, the CEO.
Okay, gotcha. All right, and yeah, and as the property owner. So what, have you had an opportunity to review the staff report and attachments?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you agree with the factual representations and proposed staff findings of fact in that report?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you get a chance to look at what they call the approval conditions that they propose?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you have any objection to those proposed conditions?
No, sir.
Do you believe that the landowner can comply with those conditions if they were ordered as actual conditions of approval?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any objection to anything in the staff report or the attached exhibits?
No, sir.
All right, then I'm going to go ahead and receive the report and its exhibits into the record in this case, and then let you take it from there. What would you like me to know about the application if you have anything to add?
Well, first I just want to thank the staff for the recommendation to approve the special use permit. From Goodwill's perspective, this recommendation represents not only an investment in the future lives and careers of folks here in Pasco, but the Tri-Cities as well. With the approval of the special use permit, we will be developing a retail store, providing 30 new jobs to the city of Pasco, and serve as a continuing source for sales tax revenue. Coupled with the retail store will be our Employment Connection Center that will provide specialized employment services for individuals with disabilities. and employment services for folks with or without barriers to employment. These services include job placement assistance, job readiness training, mock interviews, resume development and assistance, job fairs and hiring events, digital literacy classes, short-term certificate classes, life skills and job readiness courses, work experience placements, and on-the-job training. We partner with many employers and help them source employees. Recently here in Pasco, we helped Amazon source 115 employees. And Panda Express, which just opened up recently, we helped them source 35 employees to launch. Along with the development of this facility, we are improving Road 76, which will serve as an important corridor in the Road 68 area. Again, we're grateful for the staff for their thoughtful review and recommendation for approval of our special use permit, and look forward to continuing to serve Pasco through our mission of changing lives through the power of work.
All right, and I saw in the history here that, and maybe Mr. Gunderson mentioned it just now, that this same location was approved in maybe 2021 for a special use permit?
2020, yes, sir.
2020 for, so I understand it, the same purpose.
Yes, sir.
That purpose wasn't actualized at the time the permit basically lapsed, and so just laying that context. Are you aware of anything that's changed about the location or its surroundings in the last 5 years, or give or take, that would impact the suitability of this use to that location?
The area is very much similar to what it was in 2020. Okay. And if I may, the reason we didn't get it done is because COVID happened. We shut down, and then we had to go back into the planning phase. So it just held us up on our strategic plan on getting this project going. And of course, it lapsed. Mm-hmm. Right. But the initial design is very similar to. It's a little smaller, but it's very similar to what we had proposed earlier.
Okay. Okay. All right. I don't think I have any other questions for you. Unless there's something you want to add, you can go ahead and have a seat.
No, sir. We appreciate you guys' time.
All right. Thank you. Is there anybody who has appeared to testify in support of the Goodwill application 2025-008? On Zoom, now would be the time to unmute yourself and identify yourself. Is there anybody who has appeared to testify in opposition to this application? Same thing to the folks on Zoom. Unmute yourself if you'd like to be heard. All right. Seeing and hearing no one come forward. I see no reason for rebuttal testimony. We will close the evidentiary record on SP 2025-008. Thanks for being here this evening. And then we'll move on. Next and last thing on the agenda this evening is Z 2025-005 application by Webster or for Webster Court rezone from RS20 to R1. We have an agent on behalf of the applicant there. Okay, let's go ahead and turn it over to staff for a presentation on that application.
Yeah, my name's Aaron Gunderson, Planner 2 at City of Pasco, and I'm here to present Z 2025-01, Webster Court, RS20 to R1 slide. So, the property in question, it's approximately about 1 acre in size. It's parcel number 118-402-034. The applicant Shane O'Neill, on behalf of Webster Court LLC, is wishing to amend the zoning of The parcel located near the intersection of West Argent Road and Road 84 and change zoning from RS20 suburban to R1 low density residential. Slide. Application was submitted on May 23rd, 2025. Application was then deemed complete on June 10th, 2025. Notice of public hearing was posted on City of Pasco webpage, published Tri-City Herald, and mailed to properties within 300 feet on June 20th, 2025. And the public hearing for the staff report was published on July 2nd, 2025. Slide. As part of the requirements for the zoning petition. So the date the existing zone became effective, the site was zoned RS20, the current zoning, back in 2015. The change conditions which are allowed to warrant other or additional zoning. Since 2015, the City of Pasco's comprehensive plan has been updated to reflect a 3 to 6 dwelling unit requirement for a low-density residential land use designation that the properties currently has. Currently, it is not possible to develop to the minimum density requirements without rezoning to another zoning district allowed under the low-density residential land use designation. The R1 zoning also allows for more diversity in types of dwelling units in comparison to RS20, which only allows for single-family dwellings. And the facts justify the change on the basis of advancing public health, safety, and general welfare. From a public health perspective, future development on the site could encourage walking to and from school with the development proper sidewalk infrastructure. There's elementary, middle school, and high school between about 0.07 to 0.58 miles away from the property. And additionally, the property is located approximately 0.58 miles from Chiawana Park. And then for public safety, the property is located approximately 0.43 miles from the Franklin County Fire District 3, Station 34, and about a little over a mile away from the Pasco Fire Station 85. And then the effect it'll have on the character of adjacent property and comprehensive plan. Change zoning would be consistent with the comprehensive plan. The proposed rezone would allow for development between 3 to 6 dwelling units per acre. Requirement applicable, I guess technically to both the RS20 R1 zones, but it's currently unobtainable in RS20 due to the minimum lot size of only 2 dwellings per acre. The effect on the property owners of request not granted, it would lead to lower development potential and reduced land use value due to the current zoning allowing for less density. Could over time become an isolated pocket of underutilized land, making infrastructure extension less effective or cost effective or delayed. It could potentially add barriers in meeting housing demand at a time where Pasco's demand for housing is increasing, and keeping zoning RS20 would be contrary to the city's comprehensive plan due to the zone having a density standard less than the minimum allowed per the property's comprehensive plan land use designation. And then, of course, the property comprehensive plan land use designation for property is designated as low density residential. And lastly, the rezone application is consistent with and meets the intent of the comprehensive plan and city council goals. Next slide. And hearing examiner findings and recommendations. The proposal is in accordance with the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan. It meets land use goal 2, which is kind of planning for a variety of comprehensive plan compatible land use within UGA, particularly when it comes to promoting infill development and discouraging development that is dependent upon septic systems. Land use goal 4, which is increasing community accessibility through proper land use planning. The property is located near 2 transit lines with additional capacity being planned according to both the city's transportation system master plan and the Ben Franklin Transit Development Plan. Also, there's compact development will lead to further support of existing transit lines and further development of pedestrian amenities. It also is accorded with land use goal 5, which is to maintain a broad range of residential land use designations to accommodate a variety of lifestyles and housing opportunities. Changing the zoning to R1 will increase the variety of residential densities area, along with the types of housing types allowed. of Road 84 and West Argent Road both being major collectors. Changing the zoning to R1 would further the variety of housing opportunities. It also is in accordance with Housing Goal 1, which is encouraging housing for all economic segments of the city's population, consistent with the local and regional market. Changing zoning to R1 will allow for increase of housing types in comparison to the current zoning of RS20, which only allows single-family dwellings ADUs. This would help to ensure that the city will meet the increased need for housing. The effect of the proposal on the immediate vicinity will not be materially detrimental. Application for rezone is consistent with comprehensive plan land use element and meets the intent of goals and policies for the property. Zone change from RS20 to a different zoning district would allow for the property to be further developed, as the current zoning does not allow for development meeting the minimum density requirements. And development action affecting site would be subject to SEPA, and impacts to the natural and built environment, including neighboring properties, would be considered mitigated through SEPA process. There is merit in the proposal for the community as a whole. The proposed zoning designation is consistent with the comprehensive plan land use map and the goals and policies adopted by Pasco City Council. And then conditions should not be imposed in order to mitigate any significant adverse impacts from proposal. Rezone application anticipated project are subject to the regulations and requirements of the Pasco Municipal Code and the City of Pasco Design and Construction Standards. As such, no conditions should be imposed. Any further development will be evaluated for significant adverse impacts at the time of a development application, which will also be subject to review under SEPA. And a concomitant agreement should not be entered into between the city and petitioner. No concomitant agreement is considered necessary for this application. Next slide. Staff recommends, based on the finding facts, conclusions therein, that 2817 Road 84, or parcel number 118402034, be rezoned from RS20 suburban to R1 low density residential. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gunderson. Let's go ahead and have the agent of the applicant come forward. All right, sir. Would you state your name for the record?
Shane O'Neill.
Shane O'Neill. And would you raise your right hand for me? And do you swear that your testimony in this, or affirm that your testimony in this proceeding shall be the truth?
I do.
All right. And what's a good address for you, sir?
It's on the application form. It's 6904 Rogue Drive in Pasco.
Rogue Drive. All right, sir. You really drew the short straw today in terms of order of these applications, but I bet you're glad that you don't have 50 angry people still sitting behind you waiting to object to your application. So let's go with into the staff report first. Did you get a chance to review that?
Absolutely.
All right, and do you agree with the factual representations set forth?
100%, yep.
Okay, you want to adopt those representations as your testimony about the property?
Please do.
All right, and then the conditions of approval that the...
there are none.
Let's see. Yeah, let me look at that. That's right. They are not recommending any conditions. So I'll go ahead and receive the staff report and the attached exhibits into the evidentiary record for this hearing, absent any objection. And do you have anything else you want to add?
I'll keep it brief. My burden of proof on the application is substantiated in the application materials. I provided a code narrative, my responses to the review criteria therein. They fairly well match the staff report findings and some of the dialogue in the staff report. As Aaron said many times, our application is consistent with the comprehensive plan land use designation. The proposed rezone would bring the site's zoning into conformance with the residential density goals set therein. when the property was annexed and zoned as such in 2015. That subjected the site to the jurisdiction of the City of Pasco and its comprehensive plan, including its land use goals and policies. The staff report outlines several of which support approval of this application. My application materials include several aerial site photos of the vicinity for your benefit and review. If you're able to access an electronic version of the PDF of my application, in the list of exhibits, there is a link to video where I give you aerial imagery of the site, and you can watch that as well. This vicinity, part of central West Pasco, let's call it, contains a surplus of single-family homes with overly large rear yards. There needs to be an effort, and this is one of them, to use some of that open space to meet some of the housing demands in the city. This is a good opportunity to start that process. Redevelopment in the future would require extension of a sewer line. I've made the owner aware of that. You'll find a comment in there that criticizes the application based on the person who owns it being an LLC, and I object to that comment or any consideration of the application on that basis. But as you're well aware, neighbors often do not like change. I think that is a negligible consideration in light of the full scope of review criteria that are codified and need to be adhered to. In the interest of brevity, I won't go any further or repeat the contents of my application, but I am available if you have any questions for me.
All right. And your objection about the comment about the LLC ownership is noted. I'll consider that before I make a decision in this case. Looks like that link in...
Yeah, if it's a link of my thing that was put in the staff report, it might have been broken.
No, well, it worked for me. My only thought is that as far as maintaining public records, if I receive this video as an exhibit, then I can't just count on you to leave it up on YouTube for the next 7 years or, whatever to comply with public records maintenance. Is there a way that you can provide that video on just a file that we can download or on a flash drive or CD or something?
I can, provided the city's IT policy would allow me to do that. I can hand deliver it. Okay. But it is too large to transmit electronically.
Okay.
Without using a cloud service.
Okay. Yeah.
But your concern is common. I run into this issue every time I provide a video.
Okay. That makes sense. Would you guys be able to accept something on a hard drive, on a flash drive or something?
We can utilize a cloud service, file share, or Dropbox.
Okay. All right. So how long would it take you to provide something like that to them?
Okay. The file share link that is used for large applications, the one that people use to submit permits, I can give it to you that way.
If it works.
Yeah, that should work. Yeah. I got a good idea. Yeah.
Okay. How long do you need me to keep it open for you to do that?
Till the end of tomorrow.
End of tomorrow. All right, I'll give you till the end of the day on Friday. The record remains open for the limited purpose of applicants submitting the video exhibit that we just talked about in a form that we can hold on to. All right, is there anything else?
I appreciate your time and consideration of my application.
All right, well, thanks for being here and waiting so long to get your turn. All right, we're gonna, other than holding it for the video exhibit, the record will be closed at this point. We won't receive any other comments or testimony about Z 2025-005. That's the last matter on this evening's calendar, so we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everyone.